Hello everyone. In this video, let's discuss about structures and union. Okay. So we know in a variable, I can store only one value. When I declare a variable int a equal to 5, I can store only one value. When I declare an array, I can store multiple values, but all the values should be of the same data type. Okay. That is what called as arrays. Now, I want to store multiple values of multiple data type under a single name. So there I can go for the concept called structures. Fine. So let's take a sample program that will explain you how structure works. Hash include stdio.h. Okay. Int main. Now, if I want to define a structure, you have to give the keyword called struct. Struct is a keyword. Now I have to give the structure name. So I'll give the structure name as sample. Okay. So struct is a keyword and I'm giving the structure. Now let me define the structure. Let me use the structure. So here I can have multiple variables of different data type. For example, I'll take int n. Then I'll take character name. I'll get character name of 20. So here I am having n variable of type integer, name of type character array. So because this is a string, right? So I am using character array. Fine. So finally I have to give a semicolon. So this is how I have to give a structure. Okay, where I can have multiple values of multiple data types under a single name. So I have defined a structure here. Now if I want to access a structure, I have to access with the help of a structure member variable. And if I want to initialize value to a structure, I can give with the help of a structure member variable. So let me create a structure member variable. So how can I create a structure member variable? First I have to give the struct keyword, structure name, and I have to give yes. This is what called as structure member variable. So the members inside the structure can be accessed with the help of a structure member variable. Now I want to give value for the variable n. So how can I give yes dot n is equal to 5. Now I want to give the name yes dot name is equal to Tamil. So I have initialized the value. Now let me print and check. Printf %d / n %yes comma. If I give n and name, it will throw me an error. Let me check. Return 0. Let me save this and let me run the code now. See, it will throw me an error because n is undeclared. So if I want to access any member which is present inside a structure, that can be accessed only with the help of a structure member variable. So s.n, next s.name. Let me run the code now. Okay, I have got an error because after declaring an array, I cannot initialize value like this. When you go for character array, I cannot initialize. After declaration is separately and initializing is separately, this is not possible. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to copy. So what I'm going to do is, strcpy. Here in s.name, I'm going to copy the string called Tamil. This is one way I can initialize the value. Now let me run the code. See, it works. 5 and Tamil. So I have initialized the value. I'm copying the string Tamil to s.name and I'm printing both. This is one way. Or in another way, instead of declaring like this, I can give a pointer. Character star name. Now I can give the value as s.name is equal to Tamil. This works. In the previous case, declaring an array separately and initializing the array separately is not possible. Now let me run the code. See, this works now without any error. Okay. In the earlier cases, it was showing an error because I have given a character array over there. Fine. So here I have created a structure. I have defined a structure. I have initialized the values and I have accessed those members. Now I want to get the input value from the user. For these two members, I want to get the input value from the user. So what I can do? I can use the function called scanf %d space %d, not d, yes, because I'm going to get a string, comma, ampersand s dot name, comma, sorry, s dot n, comma, ampersand s dot name. Let me save this and let me run the code now. So now I'm going to get the input value from the user. I'll give input as 5 and I'll give the name as Tamil. Okay, there is an error. Let's check what is the error. Here I have given character star name. First I have to allocate memory dynamically and then only I have to go for this. So what I'm going to do is s dot name is equal to dynamic memory allocation. So character star malloc. I'll give 50 or I'll give 30 into size of char. So I have allocated the memory dynamically. Now I am going to give s dot name. This helps us to get the input value from the user. Remove that ampersand. I'll give input value 5 and I'll give Tamil. See, I've got the output value because I have given char star name. So in that case, directly I cannot initialize value. I have to allocate the memory dynamically. Now, without allocating the memory dynamically, I have to get the input value from the user. In that case, I'll comment this. I'll give char name of 50 because I have to mention the size of the array. Okay, without mentioning the size, I cannot get the input value. That is why in the previous case, I was allocating the memory and I'm getting the input value. Now, I am statically I am allocating the memory. Now, I'll get the input value 5 and Tamil. See, I've got the output value. Okay, so we have seen how to define a structure, how to access the members, and how to print the values, and how to get the input value from the user. Okay, so in another way, directly I can initialize the value. So I can give struct sample s equal to, I'll give n value as 10 and here I'll give Tamil. So I can initialize the value directly here like this. Let me run the code. See, 10 and Tamil I have got the output value. Okay. And remember one more thing. Whenever you are creating a structure member variable, only then memory will be allocated for this structure. Until or unless you are creating the structure member variable, memory will not be allocated. Okay. This is one way of declaring the structure member variable. Another way is, instead of here, I can directly give s here. So this s is a structure member variable. Okay, I'll initialize s dot name is s dot n is equal to 10 strcpy because I have given static memory allocation. So strcpy s dot name comma Tamil. So even this works. Let me save this and let me run the code. See, 10 and Tamil. So I have given the structure member variable. So you can give here or you can create the structure member variable inside the main function also. But remember one thing, whenever you are creating a structure member variable, only then memory will be allocated for this structure. So how memory is allocated, that we'll discuss separately, which is, there is a concept called structure padding, that we'll discuss how to allocate the memory, how the memory is allocated, everything we'll see in detail. Now we have created a structure member variable. Now array of structures, is it possible to create? Yes. Now let's discuss array of structures. Okay, so let me start with preprocessor additive hash include stdio.h. I'll give int main. First let me define the structure. So I'll start with the struct keyword. Structure name I'll give it a sample. Fine. Here I'm going to have 3 members inside the structure. First I'll give int roll number. Next I'm going to get the name from the user. Character name of 50 I'll give. Next I'm going to give float marks. So I'm going to get 3 values from the user. And then I have to give a semicolon for the structure. So I'm going to get some 5 students details from the user. I'm going to get 5 students details, that is their roll number, name and marks. Fine. So I have defined a structure. Now I'm going to create a structure member variable, that is an array. So struct keyword, structure name sample, structure member variable. So I'll give yes of 3. which means I can get details for 3 members. Fine. I'll get the input value from the user. So I've created a structure member variable. Now I'm going to get the input value from the user. So what happens? For int I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. So first what I'm going to do? I'm going to get scan of %d. I'm going to get a roll number. %yes. I'm going to get the name. %f marks. Ampersand roll number. Actually there should not be any space. Roll number. Then I have to get the, see, whenever you are getting input value, I have to access with the help of a structure member variable. So the first member is s of 0 because array value starts from 0, right? S of 0 dot roll number, comma, ampersand is missing here. I have to store it in this address, ampersand. Next, s of 0 dot name, comma, ampersand s of, sorry, it should not be 0, I should give I because it is accessed, index value is accessed by the variable called I. So s of I dot marks. Okay, that's all. Let me save this. So I'll get the input value from the user. So here what happened? So let's assume this is a structure. Here I'm going to store roll number, name, marks. Okay, this is s of 0 because I have given the structure member variable as s of 3. So the memory is allocated thrice. This is s of 0 and this is s of 1 and this is s of 2. So this is how the memory will be allocated. Now when I iterate this for loop, I value is 0, 0 less than 3, condition is true. I'll go here, first I'll get the roll number, s of 0 roll number, s of 0 name, s of 0 marks. So I'll give roll number as 10, name I'll give it as Tamil, and marks I'll give it as 98.5. Then when I go to the next I value becomes 1. 1 less than 3, condition is true. I'll go here, s of 1 dot roll number, s of 1 dot name, s of 1 dot marks. So s of 1, roll number I'll give it as 22. I'll give the name as Ram. I'll give the mark as 96.5. 96.5. It is automatically, okay, general, I'll give it as number, text, 96.5. Fine. Now I'll go to the next iteration. I value is 2, 2 less than 3, condition is true. I'll get the input value from the user. I'll just copy here. I'll just give the roll number as 33. Name I'll give it as John. His mark I'll give it as 99.5. That's all. Okay. Now when I want to print, what happened? I have to take a for loop. Int I is equal to 0, I less than, not n, 3. Actually here I've given n, it is 3. So I'll give I plus plus. That's all. So I'll give printf %d space %s space %f, comma, s of I dot name, sorry, s of I dot roll number, comma, s of I dot name, s of I dot marks. That's all. So once after printing that, I'll give a new line so that I can get to know the different data. Let me save this and then finally I'll give return 0. This is what called as array of structures. Let me run the code now. I'll give first input value 10, Tamil, 98.5. Then 20 Ram 99.5. 30 John 97.5. See, when I print 10 Tamil 98.5. This is float. That is why it is printing 6 digits. If I want to print only 2 digits, I can give percentage point to F. Then second, then third. So this is what called as array of structures. Fine. Now let's discuss nested structure. Okay. So I'll take a sample program. I'll explain hash replace devo.h int main. Fine. So I'll define a structure first. So I'll give struct. I'll give employee. Okay. Struct is a keyword. Employee is the structure name. Now I'm going to give the structure members. Int emp id. Fine. Char name. Okay. Now I am going to get the date of birth. So when I go for date of birth, date, month, year, we have to get 3 values. So that I am going to consider as a structure. Struct date of birth. I'll give the structure. Then I'll give a semicolon. Okay. Now I have defined a structure here. For this structure, I have to create a structure member variable. The structure name I'll give it in the capital letter. Employee and DOB, date of birth. So I'll give it as date. Structure name and structure member variable. Now let me define the structure. So struct DOB. So here I'm going to take 3 members. Int day, int month, int year. So 3 members. So this is what called as nested structure. One structure present inside another structure is called nested structure. Now I have to create structure member variable for employee, because for DOB I have created structure member variable inside the struct employee. Now I have to create a structure member variable for employee. So struct employee E is equal to directly initialize the value. Okay. So for employee ID, so how can I initialize? 10. So for employee ID 10. Next is name. I'll give name as Tamil. Fine. Next is structure. So structure should be given in curly braces. Okay, I've given curly braces. Now DOB. Here I'll go 3 integers you have to get. That is 10 date. Date is 16. Comma. Month 10 I'll give. Year I'll give 2025. That's all. Fine. I have initialized the value directly. If you want to get the input value from the user also, you can get. I have initialized the value. Now I want to print so that you can get to know how to access the values, right? So I'll do printf %d. First I'm going to print employee ID. So %d. Next name %yes. Next is 3 integers %d, 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 comma. How can I access employee ID? So e dot emp id. So I'll access the employee ID. Next name. So e dot name. Got it. Now employee is the struct name. So the structure member variable is e. So e dot. I have a structure. What is structure member variable name? Date. So date dot. This here it will access the date. So this is how I have to get the value. Call 16. Similarly, if you want to get month, so structure member variable for employee is e dot. For DOB, the member variable is date dot month. Similarly, e dot date dot year. That's all. Let me save this and then I'll give return 0 and let me run the code. Struct. Okay. I have to give a semicolon at the end of the structure. That is why it was throwing me an error. Let me save this code and let me run once again. See here 10 Tamil 16 10 2025. So this is what called as nested structure. What is my nested structure? One structure present inside another structure is called nested structure. Hope you are clear with this.